trade. This right here, if you're in the channel, you'll see here that we have the strategies for 5K to 30K trading, video 1. We have video 2. This will be part 3, and it'll basically be bringing in the what we just seen about 4 to 5 hours ago, right? So earlier today, we were talking about waves, right? So you go back, watch that video. You remember we talked about the wave down, then the final wave, and what we're looking for if you're going to make trades, right? There's two strategies here for a person who only has the time to place trades every once in a while and looking to get at least 2 to 6 trades a week that average $600, which allows them to get into a position where they're able to take advantage of at least $1,800 to $2,400 a week. So earlier today, you'll see we talked about how we were waiting for that pullback on the 1, 2, 3 wave, and then the first move up, and then the first pullback was right here, and then this is the wave 3 that we'd want to get into, and it touched the orange line just like we wanted, which was that 50% pullback from the previous high, meaning that when this wave 1 right here started to go up, all we do for this wave 1 is we just measure out that wave, right? Meaning from the bottom to its top, which was about 4.8, so we'll say 5. So we go down to 2.5, half of that area is right around there, and that's where we got our orange line from, right? That created our 50% pullback, which we're expecting after a wave 1, right? And that's part of the Elliott wave theory, because Elliott waves go after the first wave, the second wave normally pulls back 50 to 80%. On a momentum or a directional change to solidify the strength of this, we can see how strong this reversal is by that pullback. If it pulls back 50%, then we're working inside of an area that is basically letting us know that this is a 50% pullback on a wave 2, which is a common pullback, and that also lets us know that we are in a good position for the reversal, and it's building momentum because it didn't pull back 70% down here, it only pulled back 50, right? So this is the trade that we were talking about. If you were trading a trade more like, instead of a daily, a weekly, daily, and a 4-hour trade, this would be more like a 4-hour and 4, 2, and 1 hour trade, or a daily 4 and 1 hour trade, where you can get in here, but the system, right, would be a little bit different, right? So the long trade that we're doing is the daily blue moon back to green entry, like green, blue, green entry after all the momentum's coming in. That's more of the, that we're picking up areas where we can put in 3,000 and 3,000 here, 3,000 here, 2,000 here, like a $10,000 trade, 336, or a $6,000 trade where we do a 1, 2, 2, right? Different areas, different cost average buying areas, and the difference in the system is basically the leverage. That type of leverage would be more in the area of, let's say, right here, like a 20x, right? So you'd be running a 20x to a 30x leverage if you're running this trade that we're looking at right here, a 4-hour, 4 to 1 hour trade, or a 4 and 1 hour trade, right? Where doing the daily and the 4-hour, we are more in the 5x leverage to 8x, maybe the max 10x, but more than likely 5x leverage, because we're waiting for momentum to come in, and we're expecting a very longer move, normally 7 to 12%, and at a 5x, that's going to give us our 35 to 50%, but the bag is $6,000, $10,000, $15,000. So that's a lot of money over a 2-week period or 1-week period, versus in here we'd be doing more like 2,000 to 4,000 in here, and we would take a 30% move a lot quicker within the day, within a couple, 4 or 5 hours, maybe 8 hours. And that's what we're going to separate here and kind of explain the difference between the weekly and the daily versus the daily and the 4-hour. This right here is the daily and the 4-hour play, where you get that first move back and then you get that push up. Now what we're waiting for here is we expect this to not bounce as much on the third wave. This is where we're getting information. All right. If we don't get a big bounce on that third wave, remember the third wave is supposed to be where it actually goes higher than the first wave, right? This is supposed to be the big wave, right? So this is where we know whether or not we're in the momentum section, right? What we're waiting for on our main trade, right? On our main trade is we're waiting for, and we're going to close this out because we got what we wanted. We came in, we got our 100, 120. So we're going to get out of there because we're expecting this to pull back. And this is us just, you know, watching the momentum. But you see here how the 4 hours reaching the top. So we're going to expect a kind of like a sideways move and eventually momentum to come around. So once this third wave is done here, if it's weak and shows weakness like it's doing right now, then what will happen is it'll start the movement to the downside again, right? And then it'll do a 3 move down. It'll go 1 down, it'll bounce, probably do a double top, and then its biggest move is normally that third move down there is where we're waiting for, because we would expect it to either touch the lower support or maybe a little bit further and do a liquidity grab. And that would be the trade that we're looking to get into, because that's where they're cleaning up liquidity. They're grabbing the most, they're wiping out all the orders that are in there, and they're ensuring that they are the biggest orders that are happening. But for us to solidify this, keep it super simple, we're just waiting on resets, right? So this is the first move up, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's what we have, where we have the waves that break down. It's very simple to kind of like see what we have here. Let's pull this chart up, take a quick peek. So here's your third wave down, right? This ends that third wave down, very simple. And then we have a bounce, right? From this section here, this is where we're going to see the bounce. This is going to bring us wave 1, right? That's big push up. And then wave 2 is this big pullback down to the orange line. And wave 3 is this particular move here, right? Not as strong, hasn't double topped yet. But then what we're expecting from there is the next move, right? So not a dramatic wave 1 that goes all the way down, but more than likely probably retouches this support, bounces up a brief way, 50% of that, and then finalizes with the wave 3 that is probably going to touch the support again. And then from there, this is where because it doesn't push through that support, we can see that there's volume and momentum building, which means the next move, which is the wave 1 here, falling into a wave 3 here, or wave 2 pullback, right? And then from there we would expect the breakout. So more than likely after this is probably going to be the one that breaks above the resistance, then going to come back down and probably, because it's building momentum, fall below the resistance. And then this right here is the wave 3 that we'll be looking to get into and take more advantage of on the way up, right? And that one's probably going to be the big one that we're looking for, right? So that's probably going to be the big wave 3 that we want to get into, because we like to see this happen, right? So you see how this red indicates the change of reversal. We get a wave 1, a wave 2, and a wave 3 move, right? I want to now see that pattern that's right there, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. I want to see this wave 1, wave 2, this wave 1, wave 2, wave 3 pattern. I want to see that pattern reproduce itself one more time to basically, this is the first move. The second one is always stronger. So I wanted to have basically confirmation that it's building momentum, and then we start looking in this area to take advantage of that move with the bigger money, 5, 10, 15, 20x play. and that's where we're going to take advantage of it. And then the next time it does that 3 move over here, then we get into another one there, and then we take advantage of that next big move because the momentum and the volume will be there. So just following up on that as we're going through this so that you guys can see step by step what we're doing, and then every 4 to 8 hours, 4 to 8 hours we'll double check these and come back in and see what we're saying, watch it actually play out, so that way you get a better idea. All right, guys, so good luck, God bless. This is video 3. We'll make video 4 after we see some moves, guys.